Blaine is the referee. He blows time on with the Broncos running right to left. And the top of the table clash is underway as Carroll comes surging back with the first play for Manly. And the first play sees a penalty against the Broncos defence. And this Broncos team is going to get plenty of help from the crowd, let me tell you. They didn't like this.
And Mark Carroll starting the game as he likes to do, an early touch. And as we feared, an enormous amount of changes in this Broncos lineup. Steele Reckless is not on the bench. He is out there in the second row, Can into the front row. I'm not even going to try and go through them. We'll see as the game unfolds. Robbie Ross is at fullback with Ben Walker at halfback and Lockyer in the 6th position.
And here's Carroll again, getting amongst the work that has to be done in the early part. Onto the left of the ground, Hasler wearing the number 7 tonight. Jumper he wore with distinction right through the rugby league grades. And then from Tierney across to the right for Lyons to go on for Hill. Hill is put down just inside the touchline on the broadcast side of the ground. And now to their captain, who punches it. And the number 14 is Robbie Ross, formerly with the Newcastle Knights. His first run-on game for the high-flying Broncos.
There's Paul Hoff in a little bit of doubt during the week, a groin injury, but he's recovered sufficiently. A real crowd favourite here, and he's keen to get some, well, a good quality match in first grade.
And he has moved on to the wing, and you would imagine that the cross kick would be employed towards his side. Very tall man. He does leap well. And that will be a tactic the Brisbane side will employ. He's out to Lockyer, gets a good kick down. That's 50, 60 metres on the fly.
Long run back for Ridge. And the chase on the kick is very good. Excellent chase from the Broncos. Now, Danny Moore. Last weekend's man of the match, Daniel Gartner now. Scored 2 tries in that brilliant win by Manly over Canberra. Now Kosef and Hill combined for Hopewadi. And he's flirting with the sideline. He flicked past infield, intercepted by John Plath. Good work by Plath. Penalty goes to the Broncos.
Well, good work from John Plath. Great work from Michael Hancock to force Hopewadi towards the wing. A big man, Hopewadi. It just shows the strength of Michael Hancock.
A poor decision from Hopewadi to try and get on the outside of Michael Hancock. He must realise how strong he is. No penalty attempt at the goal. Instead, as Brisbane love to do, the tap.
So now from Kerrod Walters, they're on the attack well and truly. They're inside the 20-metre line. And Ross comes into the back line. This is Darren Smith. 8 metres out from the line. Back to the left of the ground. That is Walker. And running the angle is Reckless. So still 80% of the ground on the left. They go to the right and Hoff! Darren Smith provides Hoff and he scores wide out. The former Australian fullback, Paul Hoff, has scored the first points of the game.
This is that error from Hopewadi that's led to Brisbane taking that lead. Just flicking it inside, and John Plath, desperation to get there to the ball on the full. So important for Brisbane to get off to a good start. And here it is, Kerrod Walters making the overlap, getting out from dummy half. What a great ball from Darren Smith, pulling in 2 defenders. Just to let Paul Hoff plunge over in the corner. Watch Smith here, just flicking it out as soon as he knows Danny Moore's come in. Hoff in the corner.
And that was the secret to the try. Danny Moore, normally a centre, has played on the wing with distinction this year, but he came in when he should have stayed out on his man. Kerrod Walters, good work from dummy half to realise that there was half an opportunity on that blind side. It wasn't a very big blind side. Manly, well, they now realise that despite many people have had them over the line in this game, they've got a tough match on their hands. As Gary points out, it was so important for this young Brisbane side to get away to a good start. And they've done exactly that.
Pleasing thought going through the mind of Wayne Bennett, no doubt. So Darren Lockyer from the sideline. And 28 metres out, he's hooked it too wide. So Brisbane leading Manly after 4 minutes in Friday night football, 4 points to 0. Welcome back. Early try in the match. Going to Brisbane, scored by Paul Hoff. After Manly made a rather unnecessary mistake. And plenty of anxious looks on the faces of not only the Manly players. I was looking at the trainers out there, geeing them up, trying to psych them up. John Plath has already left his mark on the game. Good run by Johnny Plath, playing it lock forward. Kerrod Walters for Michael Hancock. Got his pass away after he bumped off Sidaris. Lockyer's ball comes down for Hoff. 28 metres out. Brisbane having a great start. Peter Ryan. They go on with Walker. Covered there by Matthew Ridge.
Ben Walker electing for just a short kick in behind the line there. Not as deep as really was needed.
Oh, look at this. Brisbane tackling in pairs and driving John Hopewadi. Jenny with a short pass across. And that is Gartner. Carroll now on the left of the ground. Hancock's got a problem. Played by Carroll. That's his fourth touch of the ball. Tierney with a one-hander for Kosef. Looking in vain for a runner. Sidaris now. Cross, and then Gartner and Ridge for the kick. And again, Matthew electing to go for position rather than length. And Robbie Ross, beaten by the first bounce, brings it back. Terry Hill in an ungainly looking tackle. The pass was low, but it didn't affect Lockyer, and now it's Paul Hoff. Hoff playing on the wing. Ross playing at fullback. This is Retchless, away from a feeble attempt at tackle, believe it or not, from Craig Innes.
Well, Manly have been superb in the defensive department this year. That's why they're going so well in the competition. But tonight we've seen them busted in ways that is very uncharacteristic. Straight up the middle of the ruck. This time Alan Cairn puts a little step into his work. Last tackle now for the Broncos, but they're making good ground with every possession of the football.
Kerrod Walters precisely puts it down into the corner. That'll force a 10-metre scrum. With Manly's loose head and feed. 4-0 in favour of Brisbane. A try for Hoff after 3 minutes.
When the ball bounces like this, you start to wonder whether it is your night. Kerrod Walters putting it into the corner perfectly. Good kick, he's practiced that a lot. Dummy half.
Hasler then working it off for Innes on the open side. And Manly already have been served notice by Brisbane that they really mean business without 8 of their top liners. Here's Carroll meeting the strength of the tackle from Webke. Shane Webke wearing number 8 tonight. Tierney's pass is again a loose-looking pass, and Terry Hill had to stop and hesitate before taking it on the bounce. 38 metres away from the Manly line. Ridge comes into dummy half. Lyons on the blind side. And then Tierney is shut down by Kerrod Walters, who then again is able to make the tackle on Hasler. So Walters is leading by example. And Ridge puts his kick in, but it brings Brisbane back in very good field position on the first tackle. Hancock, in fact, is 10 metres from the halfway.
I'm sure that Wayne Bennett was looking for an enthusiastic Brisbane side tonight. They really are putting a lot of pressure on. They're attacking in defence. They're rushing up into the faces of the Manly players. That's off-putting for this Manly team. They haven't quite handled it to this stage, and even that kick from Matthew Ridge, not the one he wanted to get away. Now a penalty against Neil Tierney. He's claiming that the jersey was held.
Alan Cairn, the man being tackled there, perhaps milking this penalty. Well, Tierney does claim his jersey was tugged, but too late. The referee giving a long shot here. Darren Lockyer 42 metres out.
So 10-minute marker is with us, and 4-0 in favour of Brisbane with Lockyer a chance to extend that lead.
Just looking down at Michael Hancock on the wing, still having a little bit of trouble with a leg injury out there. 100% happy. He'll be a little bit more pleased with things if Lockyer can drill this one over.
Well, he hasn't, because it's not only short, but it's wide. And Matthew Ridge comes back to a jolting tackle from Ben Walker. Peter Ryan also involved in the defence, with Manly now crossing the 20-metre line. And this is where they'll be hoping for some of the fire to go out. The Brisbane boys, they're really on the boil at the moment, and Manly are weathering the storm at the moment. There's very little counter to enthusiasm, and that's what they're playing with. They're playing with very high exuberance, Brisbane.
Well, the only counter to that, Ray, is to match them in that department. And you do look at this Manly side, and they've been taken aback by what they're facing out there in the first 10 minutes. Paul Hoff gets a good bounce. Pretty good chase there, but even now from that kick, Broncos get the football in pretty good field position, only 40 out from their own line.
Well, they are chasing up very quick in defence, the Broncos. What they are doing is leaving a bit of space out wide, though. I'm sure Manly are trying to, well, they have tried to exploit it. They've got a couple of men overlap, but they just can't get it there. It's one area I'm sure Fulton will get his message down to his players to try to take Brisbane on in.
Garrett Walters taking 2 defence men in before offloading a great pass, and then Lockyer is smothered away 38 metres away from the Manly line. Platters with it now. 75% of his first grade appearances have been from the bench. In fact, this was his first run-on game this year. A chip and chase by Ben Walker. Ridge it is that has to put his body on the line. It's up to many of the senior players. We've got a problem with Matthew Ridge. Ridge, if they lose him, it is going to be a crippling blow for Manly.
Well, this is one of the bravest things that you can do in a game of rugby league, is to dive on a ball where you know that there are going to be feet and knees.
He might have copped it from Terry Hill, did he?
Yeah, I think he did. Terry Hill trying to cover up, may have got a knee into Matthew Ridge's upper leg.
I was about to make the point that the senior players in the Broncos lineup tonight would be feeling the pressure, particularly leading the youngsters through this 80 minutes against one of the top sides. No exception to that would be Alan Cairns, Steve Roach.
I've been impressed with Alan Cairns' start. He's been under a bit of pressure for the Brisbane Broncos this year, but as you said, it's up to him to lead the way, and he's doing that at the moment. He's already got a couple of offloads when they've had the football.
Here's some nice work put together by Gardner and Lyons, and then the infield kick by Danny Moore. Manly come down with it. Lyons has got support. Danny Moore, well, he was in the start of it, and he's in the finish of it.
Well, that's a great Manly try. They've hit back, doing what they do best, giving the ball plenty of air. The support play, which has been lacking in the first 12 minutes, it was there this time. You see Nick Kosef realising that there is an overlap out wide, goes to the other hand. This is a great ball here from Daniel Gardner. Cliff Lyons staying alive. Craig Innes commits Paul Hoff, turns him around, and then Danny Moore, the kick. All the chasers are onside. They all contest against Robbie Ross, not a big fullback. Cliff Lyons didn't have the speed to go on, but he had any number to choose from, and Danny Moore was in the best position.
It is a sign of a great side, isn't it? One that can pull something out of nothing. Nothing really doing out wide here. Paul Hoff had to stay back, the rest of his teammates rushing up, but being the last tackle, he's concerned about covering the kick. So that gave Manly a bit of breathing space before they got to him. And then, of course, out jumping Robbie Ross there before Lyons puts Danny Moore over.
Gee, that's tremendous work from Danny Moore, isn't it? Not only to stay alive in the play, but that was a very difficult kick. Kicking right-footed back in field. The impressive thing were 3 Manly players there to jump for the football.
So Matthew Ridge converts that try, and now Manly, they grab the lead, but they've been on the end of a battering, really. 6-4, they lead after 14 minutes. Back at ANZ after 15 minutes. Manly grabbing the lead. 2 points up now. Tierney. Back on his own 20-metre line. Manly second on the league ladder. Brisbane equal third. Light rain falling. Mark Carroll taking on the work of a couple of the others in hit-ups at the moment. Cliffy Lyons with his kick just rolling over the sideline. And it's going to be a scrum that'll pack down 20 metres out from the Brisbane line. Doesn't seem to be any concern or too much concern on the face of Cliffy Lyons.
Well, that's wise play from him. He could have tried to throw the ball around again, but he just wants to settle things down. He knows his side have taken the lead. They just want to try to get some of that enthusiasm out of the Brisbane side. Get them walking back to the scrum, slowing the play down.
I guess that's what I was talking about earlier, Gary. They had to weather the onslaught early and just wait for them to go off the boil or do something about putting them off it. And a couple of judicious kicks have just slowed them down a little bit and given Manly time to take stock. Hancock with one of these trademark runs of his. Ryan comes back to where the traffic is. 38 metres away from the Brisbane line. This is Shane Webke.
Good hit up there from Webke on Carroll. This will be a good matchup tonight. Webke likes running into brick walls, and Mark Carroll will certainly provide one for him.
Jared Walters trying to suck a penalty. Walker did well. Lockyer is with it. Lockyer then trying to weave across the 40-metre line, but ridden into the ground by Terry Hill. 6-4 then, Manly leading, 5 tackles gone. As Walker goes to the air, and at least one of the Broncos was offside. Oh, Lyons was taken high. Now, the culprit has stayed with Cliffy Lyons. It's Peter Ryan.
The referee reacted very quickly to this because Lyons reacted quickly. He got the football away and was trying to create something out wide. There's one around the neck. Penalty will be sufficient. I wonder if the referee had to let play go just a little bit longer, whether Matthew Ridge could have found a couple of players outside him in open spaces.
Carroll then taking it across the halfway line. Tierney offering a decoy run. Kosef is put away by Kerrod Walters over the top of an Alan Cann tackle. Hasler then tries to go for some acceleration, loses the ball. Retchless comes away with it. Brisbane go back onto the attack. And Robbie Ross ducking into dummy half. They've done a fair bit of that tonight, and it's paid off for them. Kerrod Walters, John Plath and Robbie Ross, which indicates that Manly's marker defence might have been a bit loose. Ryan. Now this is going to put a scrum down. I thought maybe he was obliged to penalise for passing after the tackle had been made.
Well, I'd suggest Paul McBlain has already called Peter Ryan to play it. Maybe it was a line ball decision.
Well, if he's... maybe that call coincided with the ball coming out. Let's run with Paul McBlain's decision to put the scrum down anyway. It goes out along the line, rapid fire. Danny Moore is with it. Darren Smith is going across. Danny Moore is put down 40 metres out from his own line. And then, he gets up and loses the ball. McBlain says play on. Darren Smith is with it for Brisbane. First tackle, good field position. 39 metres out from the opposition line.
And Danny Moore is still complaining that Paul Hoff knocked the football out.
It's a bit late now. Cam playing it back for Kerrod Walters. Then for John Plath. Turns it inside for Peter Ryan. Impact of the run by Ryan could be seen on the head jolting back on Mark Carroll's shoulders. Lockyer, charge down, no knock on. Then Lyons, then away for Gardner, now for Kosef. Kosef floats the ball out. Gardner's looking for his winger. He finds him now. Danny Moore stands and looks to unload. Goes down 20 metres out from the Brisbane line. Away from Sedaris, and then for Kosef and Lyons, and then on for Hasler. Hill is with it now. Terry comes to the 20-metre line. Hopawati tries to beat Hancock. Gets a pass in. Brisbane have got it. Alan Cairn is with it.
Well, he's going to learn very shortly, John Hopawati, that the place not to go is on the outside of his winger. Did a good job to stay in initially, but then with the cover defence coming across, there was nowhere for him to go but over the sideline. Great ability in this Manly team for their back rowers to play in the back line and not be in the way. They're very, very good with the football. We saw perfect evidence of that in that last break involving Kosef and Gartner.
I think most of them cut their teeth in the centres, didn't they, Pete?
Well, certainly Kosef has played a lot of football as an inside back. And Daniel Gartner, he plays like a centre. Tremendous to have in your team as Michael Hancock heads centre field once again. Puts up 3 or 4 metres before confronted by Carroll and Tierney.
Been some fine wing play by Hancock tonight. Hopawati appeared to take the wrong option a couple of times, but Hancock was shown in the sideline. And now Green is on and Walker takes it ahead. 8 metres onto the Manly side of halfway, the turnover.
In good hands there, initiated by Darren Lockyer. Sure, Wayne Bennett still would have preferred the kick to have been got away. Here's Lockyer, wisely decides not to kick, puts it through the hands to Green and Walker, but it is the 5th tackle. They need to get the ball up the other end of the field. Manly are so dangerous in this zone.
Tierney. Sedaris for Hasler. Lyons round the back of Carroll, Kosef and Hill. They combine. Darren Smith makes the tackle. Desperate as it was, and then Ridge's pass away for Kosef, who tries to fend off John Plath. 30-metre line, and then to the left for Lyons, who rolls it back onto the right of the ground, and Walker is tackled by the runner, Matthew Ridge. Ross, almost 23 minutes gone, Manly by 2 points. Paul Hoff. Brisbane making some changes as Green meets the opposition. The arms of Sedaris waiting for him. And now Kerrod Walters again able to make good metres away from dummy half, although that time he looked like he was bound to pass. I think he was lacking a runner or lacking a call from the playmaker. Walker's kick is beautifully weighted, and Ridge will get it back into the field of play. Heads for the sideline, then thinks about it. And Darren Smith is there in left centre defence. Hopawati. Galea is on in 17. Daniel Gartner get away from the tackle of Webke. Takes it to that position. Sedaris' pass on that angle looked to be forward. Gillespie picked off by a beauty.
You don't normally see David Gillespie, the recipient of one of those. He's normally dishing them out, but Peter Ryan got him in a beauty. Neil Tierney got away another good ball at Sedaris. He finds Hasler.
And Hasler finds some open space, which carries him over the halfway line. But then Kerrod Walters did well to give a start and pick him up. Lyons turns it back into the centre. Carroll, and then it's Kosef, and now Innes, and this is Moore. Innes supports him on the inside. The ball was touched by Brisbane. He's on his way for the line. And his second try, Danny Moore.
Well, it's deja vu for Danny Moore and Manly. But another beautiful try, and again, Manly at their best, keeping the football alive. Tierney's played very well because he has attracted a lot of defenders and got the ball away. Desi Hasler keeps on keeping on. Kerrod Walters in defence came up with the covering tackle. But then pressure going through on Cliff Lyons. Good reaction on the blind side. Mark Carroll takes the ball forward, puts everybody on side. Good hands from Kosef. So too Innes. Must have been a line ball pass. And then that's touched by a Brisbane player. Again, the difficult kick undertaken by Danny Moore, and he's the man that puts it down under the black dot.
Just the support play is what keeps Manly ticking over the scoreboard. When the play looks to be breaking down, he knows if he kicks in field, Danny Moore, there's going to be 2 or 3 players at least, and Cliff Lyons is always one of them, but he manages to clean it up himself.
So there's the conversion successful from Matthew Ridge, and 12 points to 4 now in favour of Manly. So 2 tries for Danny Moore as we welcome you back. And the extras, of course, supplied by the captain for the night, Matthew Ridge. But Danny Moore on camera now. He's perfected the unorthodox centre field kick off the right foot.
He's done it very well, and I guess it must be disappointing for the players involved and for the Manly club that they don't have more representation at the moment, but in the long run it will probably benefit them. The man playing the football, Mark Carroll, he would have thought that he'd be playing State of Origin. Terry Hill, soon to be a lay-down misère. And Danny Moore, of course, was involved with Queensland last season. The fact that they've only got, 3 players out now, and Cunningham has only been involved, or will be involved, on Monday night. A small representation for a club at the top of the table.
Robbie Ross bringing it back for Brisbane. Not so much that the flame has gone out for Brisbane. They started brilliantly. Things went their way, but then Manly let them cool down a little bit. And a couple of things have gone right for the Eagles. This is a high tackle on Green.
Yeah, clumsy attempt by Matt Dunford. Hasn't been on there too long. They all come flying in.
I think it was Mark Carroll, in fact, who made the first connection. The tough one, tough stage now for Brisbane. They've probably made more clean breaks. Those 2 kicks that have really set them on the back foot. You just can't go to sleep against Manly.
So Webke, the first of the forwards to take it ahead. 35 metres out from the Manly line. Ben Walker combining with Steele Retchless. And now again it's Walker. Ryan coming back on the angle. They're just inside the 30-metre line, and Kerrod Walters has got them guessing now. He's able to do anything out from dummy half. Back and across for Ben Walker, and then for Lockyer. Lockyer held it back, got a pass away, and the pass to Michael Hancock has been real play on. Hancock goes way back in field. Chris Johns on in 13. Lockyer. Hoff and Moore, 2 of the tallest players in the game. And the touch judge over there has ruled that Hoff took it into touch.
Well, that's a tactic we pointed out would be employed. The execution just wasn't right. We saw the hooking of the ball from Lockyer. Those kicks have got to be coming down on the try line and having Hoff running in with momentum.
Slight rain continuing to fall and making handling, I would imagine, difficult, but the handling of both sides has been very, very good, Steve Roach.
Yeah, very impressive. The thing that's impressed me is that both sides haven't changed the way that they like to play football, just willing to throw the football around, and not that many mistakes in these conditions.
So Manly now at 12 points to 4. 30 minutes of the game gone. And Scott Fulton is on now for Manly. Robbie Ross on the bring back. Pulled down by Sedaris. So Sedaris is still there. Hasler is still there. And Scott Fulton has gone on. So what is the shuffle in the Manly team? Galia in 17. Kerrod Walters to the blind side and turning it back in for Retchless. 12-4, 2 tries, both scored by Danny Moore for Manly. against a very early try for Brisbane, scored by Hoff. And here's Chris Johns taking it over the sideline.
Well, that's trouble zone. Manly, their sliding defence is just so solid. Very, very hard to bust out wide. Brisbane need to turn the ball in more often, but Chris Johns on the run around, really no chance, nowhere to go.
I've got a question mark on that tackle, not bringing a penalty. Player on the ground with the ball in his hands and there's a hand on him, that's a tackle, and then another bloke comes in and pushes him over the sideline. If that's not a penalty, I'm not here.
You are here, Ray.
I am here.
And we love the fact that you are. I think we'll find that Jim Sedaris has dropped back into the second row. It's Manly to get out of their own danger area. I love you, Tom.
Thanks for that reassurance, God. Now, here's Carroll. With Shane Walker on now. This is the youngster that there's been so much press about. He's actually playing in his first grade game, is my understanding. And he played Commonwealth Bank Cup last year. He's one of 4 brothers. One of his brothers is out there. And there's 2 more waiting at St Mary's at Toowoomba. So, as the Walters brothers are to Ipswich, the Walkers are to Toowoomba. And the second eldest is out there now.
What a magnificent place to be born, Toowoomba. Amazing sporting town. There's a mistake here. The referee has ruled a knock on.
Scott Blacker it was, as Michael Hancock goes to ground again. There's young Walker in 15. Hancock, more trouble for him.
Well, he was injured early in the game. There's young Shane Walker. Michael Hancock going down after he plays it. I think he's elected to stay on as long as he can to help his younger teammates through, but it doesn't look real good now. Seems to be his right knee. They've had a great record with injuries this year. Kevin Walters, the first player, the first grade player to miss a week of football through injury this week. Let's hope Michael Hancock isn't going to add to that toll.
Well, he's been one of the most durable players for them for a couple of seasons now. He hasn't missed a game since 1994. So he's really been able to string together a lot of matches. There's a centre field scrum fed by Hasler. Kosef breaks from the lock forward position. Heads for Innes, comes back inside, but a strong tackle once again from Peter Ryan.
Fulton is the dummy half. Sedaris now acting as a running forward, and he's involved here, but Dunford takes it ahead himself to the 10-metre line, so some more pressure now for the Broncos as Carroll comes storming onto it. A great tackle from Peter Ryan. And the referee is going to put a scrum down. Will that tackle by Ryan in the number 11?
Well, he's just great to watch, Peter Ryan. I looked at him as he got back in the defensive line and lined Carroll up, went low. Unfortunately, he hit the ball as well, but he stopped Carroll in his tracks, the big man.
Galia coming off. And the captain is getting a spell as well. 33rd minute with us now as Brisbane face with the task of clearing their own danger zone with Paul Hoff and now Alan Kerr. Blacker is the number 5. Just got ushered away from dummy half by John Plath. And now that is Shane Walker. He's been put in cotton wool, if you like, down at Beenleigh, where so many of the Broncos under-19s play in the Beenleigh Gold Coast competition, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, the Gold Coast League. That's it's been the place they've had to play this year to get some footy under their belt. He certainly is needed tonight, and the Broncos are hoping that he'll see a little bit more first grade before the end of the year.
Innes, who played a very big role in that win over Canberra last weekend.
He's been great all season since joining Manly from the English club Leeds. In fact, if Manly can go one better than they did last year, it may well be the acquisition of 2 class players in Craig Innes and Jim Sedaris.
Carroll now met by Retchless. 5 or 6 metres on the Manly side of halfway. 12-4 as Lyons finds himself in among the defenders, and that kick has been raked back into the field of play by a Manly onside player. And this is Terry Hill, so it'll be a turnover.
And I think Manly are a little bit unlucky they didn't get another set of 6 there. I thought Hopewadi kicked the football, it touched the Brisbane player and may well have been 6 again.
It did look to have touched Robbie Ross. Certainly, I don't think it was intentional, but I guess that's not the point here. Ross getting across the cover. He thinks it's going to go into touch, so just leaves it go. It has come off his foot after Hopewadi.
Yeah, but hang on, he didn't play at the ball. That doesn't nullify it. No, the referee's got it right.
Well, I haven't got the rule book with me, Rabs. I'll have to take your word for it on that one.
I'd like to be assured of backing the Daily Double tomorrow.
Well, you give yourself plenty of opportunity anyway.
That's right. Now Manly on the halfway line. Blocker, what's the problem with Michael Hancock?
Yeah, he's had a bad bump to his right knee, but the doctor says it's not serious. We could see him take part in the second half.
Sedaris now. Into the arms of Nick Kosef. Playing in the 13 jumper. Just where they're playing tonight, though, is anybody's guess. They're all over the place. Lyons' kick. It's beautifully placed, and then it's for Hill, and then it's for Hopewadi. It mightn't have been a happy night, but it is now. The Australian representative, John Hopewadi. He picks up the 3rd try for Manly at the 35th minute.
A lovely kick there from Cliff Lyons. And plenty of pressure put on, I think it's Robbie Ross. Let's have a look at the contact between Ross and Terry Hill. Coming across, a little bit of a shoulder nudge there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Positioned Hopewadi beautifully. The crowd don't like it, but that is acceptable.
Well, Manly are killing him with the kicks, aren't they? Well placed once again from Lyons. And you'll see Hill here, everything he does here is legal. You're allowed to shoulder your opponent out of the way. He's done just that. And great awareness to see Paul Hoff coming and just draw his man and put Hopewadi over.
Yeah. It's just worth talking about that rule, because the crowd gave the referee a bit of a raspberry, but you are, as Gary just pointed out, in pursuit of the football. 2 players can jostle by use of the shoulders and the hips. They can bump at each other in pursuit of the football. So there's no drama there at all. Matthew Ridge with his first real test for the night. And there it goes with pinpoint accuracy. Lovely kicker. You don't need to be told that, though. Manly 18, Brisbane 4. There might have been some shaky moments early on in the match for Manly, but now they're comfortable.
The important thing in Terry Hill's favour was the fact he never took his eyes off the football.
Rain getting heavier, if anything. With Darren Lockyer sending it into the corner for Matthew Ridge and Mark Carroll to combine for Danny Moore. Sedaris. I think this rain must be following me, Gary. I've been on the Sunshine Coast and they've had bucketfuls of it.
It's been hanging around, and hopefully it won't get too much heavier. Not the real good conditions for the Broncos to play catch-up football, and they're in that situation now as we approach half-time. It'd be ideal if they could get some more points on the board.
Scott Fulton gets out from dummy half. Good work by Scott. 45 metres out from the Brisbane line. Hasler looks at the blind side. The play was interrupted by a Brisbane player coming onside. That ball may have come off Brisbane. Now, in this case, it doesn't matter whether he played at the ball or not. The scrum would go to the opposition.
Yeah, Darren Lockyer's right knee it was. Not playing at it, but as you say, Ray, Manly with the feed.
I know it gets a bit confusing. I was saying earlier that a player didn't play at the ball. In that case, it doesn't nullify the tackle count. But when a ball is kicked and it comes off a player and goes into touch, the scrum feed goes to the team who didn't last touch it. And it doesn't matter whether it come off his backside, his hands or his legs. Innes. Ooh, Peter Ryan. He cocked it up and let it go, but he missed that time. Now, Sedaris, and then Lyons has to try and bat it across the line. A chance was there for Brisbane. He will rule the forward pass from Lyons. As he tries to bat it along the line, it goes forward, no doubts.
Yes, Darren Lockyer saw an opportunity there, just couldn't hang on to it. Any more rushing in to cut it off.
.30 metres out then from the Brisbane line. Seconds away from half-time. 3 tries, 2 for Danny Moore, and then 1 for John Hopewadi. So the wingers have got all of the Manly tries, and here is Danny Moore tackled now on the halfway line. With our timepiece indicating that that is it for the first half, and it is. So with Darren Lockyer, a gash over the left eye, we go to the halftime break to the dual try scorer Danny Moore, and John Hopewadi got the other. And Paul Hoff scored the first points of the match to give Brisbane an early lead. And welcome back with Manly 18-4 up, and we go into the second half. This top of the table clash, second against third, but of course both sides feeling the strain of state of origin. Mainly the Broncos with 7, Manly with 3. And adding to the Broncos' woes is the long-term injury to Kevin Walters. Penalty against the Manly defence given by Paul McBlain as rain continues to fall at ANZ Stadium.
Des Hasler the culprit, the third man in, really not involved in the tackle in any way, just trying to slow the play down.
Those of you that just joined us, Brisbane started with a real bang, equal to the fireworks that ANZ Stadium always provides. Paul Hoff was over for a try after 3 minutes, but then Manly slowly took control with Danny Moore 2 tries, Hopewadi the other, and 18 points to 4. Kerrod Walters, that is Blacker. Walters then with a little kick out from dummy half. The weight is good, and oh, Matthew Ridge took a look back over the shoulder. I don't know that he realised Kerrod was so close. Let's have another little look-see.
Oh, very cool and calm, Matthew Ridge. Great start for the Broncos. Kerrod Walters getting them on the front foot. Another set of six tackles.
So the line dropout will see the ball come back for Brisbane to have another shot. Are we going to see a similar start to the half as we did at the opening of the game? That's a very good drop kick. It's taken them from the front foot to the back foot. Webke plays the ball, and then Kerrod Walters is having an outstanding game. The captaincy's doing him the world of good, but then again I'm reminded Kerrod has been playing superbly himself.
It's amazing, Matthew Ridge in defence. Look how tight he is behind the defensive line, barking at his troops. Just keep an eye out over the course of this match how shallow he plays, directing his troops around. They know exactly where they need to be because he's telling them all the time. Does make him a little bit vulnerable to the kick over his head. He seems to cope pretty well.
Walker now. His kick. Did it come off one of the Manly players? It's watched closely there by Danny Moore before he picks it up. So Manly, they bring it back off their own 20-metre line. Steve Roach with his half-time summation of the game.
Yeah, well, Wayne Bennett was pretty happy with the Broncos in the first half. He said to his players, keep your heads up. You've got a couple of tries scored against you from kicks, so he wants them to go on with the job in the second half. He said they've got to use the inside ball a little bit more. He said that Manly's sliding defence was causing them trouble for Manly. They've got to mark up a little bit better in defence. They're just allowing the Brisbane side to make a couple of breaks. And the main thing to come out of Manly at half-time is Bob Fulton does not want Brisbane to score in the second half. He's happy the way they're playing. Just keep on playing the way you are.
Clippy Lyons then neatly dropping it over the top and finding touch. Great precision there from Cliffy Lyons. 18-4, 44th minute of the game.
It's been the difference tonight, the kicking game on late tackles. Of course, Manly have scored a few tries, but they have managed some good kicks into the corners. That one from Cliffy Lyons, once again, a beauty. Brisbane not really coming up with it. That last kick from Ben Walker going astray just took the pressure off Manly.
Talking of Ben Walker, he's playing at halfback in the number 6. Darren Lockyer playing at 5'8" in the number 3 jumper. And Brisbane trying to bring a penalty by locking the ball up in the scrum. Now the Broncos with Robbie Ross up from full-back, and then Ben Walker. Strong tackle on him from David Gillespie. And it's left the halfback for Brisbane down on his haunches.
Just have a look where Matthew Ridge is there now. He's not far behind the defensive line. He comes up when the Brisbane players meet that front defensive line, but he's only 10 metres behind, constantly chatting to his teammates.
I think he's one of the best positionally defensive fullbacks in the game. He's still got a 20-metre or 30-metre start. Once the ball looks like it's going to be kicked, he's there a long way ahead of Darren Smith, who's sprinting downfield.
Darren Smith has come out of that second best. He led the chase. Ridge appeared to hurdle across the would-be tackle of Darren Smith, and he's come out of it injured.
There he is on the last tackle. He just sets off backwards as quickly as he can. And as Gary points out, that's just great positional play and awareness of what's required at what time.
Well, he plays up so close to the defensive line, and that enables him to slot in when his side's short on numbers. It's very hard to break that Manly defensive line, and Ridge is so often pushing players around or getting in there himself.
There's a good chance coming up here for Brisbane. Have the loose head and feed. Jim Sedaris, he loses the ball. Brisbane get an opportunity, but then they turned it back. But he will rule on the first breach. And this is the blood bin being ordered for Shane Webke. And Brett Green will go back into the game in jumper number 10. Webke has been working hard. In fact, I'm sure each of the reserve graders and others have pleased Wayne Bennett. Chris Johns. And where are they taking me? 35 metres from the Manly line. Blacker. Green. Carroll launched himself in defence and missed the target. It was left to Cliff Lyons to make the tackle. Lockyer. He keeps it on the ground. Came off the feet of Ridge. Chance for Brisbane, but Ridge has got it back.
Well, they need the bounce of the ball, Brisbane, to get back in this game. It looked like it was coming then. A very well-placed kick. Here it comes out through Walker to Lockyer. Ridge, it's wrong-footed him. Walker gets a foot to it. Lockyer just overrunning it.
Gillespie now. Sedaris. And they're working it away from their danger zone. This match, of course, looking very much as though it's Manly's. But anything can happen. Such is this game of rugby league. And here's Brisbane with Robbie Ross back on his own 30-metre line.
Right, I'm sure that Manly will be aware that North Sydney appeared to have hold of all the aces at half-time last week, despite the fact the Origin players were involved for Brisbane. And this is one team, if you do relax against them, they can score points quickly. Here's Walker straight up in the middle of the ruck.
Front-on defence by Ridge. Smothering out any attempt by Ben Walker to go any further. Kerrod Walters linking up there with Ross, and then the ball put down for Lockyer and across for Plath. Little juggle by Plath, and they're out with Blacker now on the wing. 30 metres out from the Manly line. The last tackle off the left foot of Darren Lockyer. Test here for Matthew Ridge, but he was up there on his own.
Peter Ryan storming through for that bomb, but he got some great protection, Matthew Ridge. I think it was Des Hasler in front. Ryan couldn't get to him. Here's the bomb. Ryan coming midfield towards it. It's not Hasler, it's Daniel Gartner.
Now another blood bin has been ordered, this time on Retchless.
Just wondering whether he was the player that Matthew Ridge came down on after he took the ball. Came down accidentally on around that area of a player, Brisbane player on the ground.
Galia has gone back into the game. Gartner tries to hammer a hole in the Brisbane line. Sedaris coming away from dummy half. He's playing much better now, Jim Sedaris. He had an unhappy year for what part of it he played last year. Hoff at fullback. Inside the 40-metre line and beyond. Sedaris making the tackle as Walters gives it to Walker and then for Smith. And Darren Smith is held near the halfway line. Ross is playing on the left wing now, and Hoff is back in the fullback position. This is Galia. Cam bumps away from Sedaris. Wrestles with Carroll. Feeds for Walters. Scampers across, and then they get it all mixed up. Lyons for Kosef. Kosef for Innes.
Well, that was a shame. A bit of a half break there. Set up well from Alan Cairn. Kerrod Walters, I thought, perhaps could have dropped the first player off. One of the players coming inside him. Throws a little dummy. Then tries to give it to Darren Lockyer. A real mix-up. Keep turning the ball over to Manly. It's normally just a matter of time before they get some more points on the board. They haven't really managed to get out of their half in this half of football. When they turn it on, it's going to be a danger time for Brisbane.
Tierney got back and wound it right up. Last tackle. Ridge punches it into the corner. His winger is coming fast. Hoff just grappling it in. Ross back in the in goal. That's great work by Terry Hill over there.
Well, you could see both Hopewadi and Hill. They were eagerly awaiting the dummy half to pick it up so they could come up with exactly that play. Paul Hoff gets a pretty good result here. Stayed in the field of play on both accounts, not going over the try line or the sideline. And Terry Hill, with the momentum, rolling Ross into the in-goal area and staying there.
The drop kick, not a bad one, but Carroll has really punctured the Brisbane defensive line. He's taken it back to within 25 metres, and Tierney gives him able support. Now they're 15 metres out, and they've got 4 tackles remaining. Sedaris comes left for Lyons. Gillespie. He had the defence in his face. It was Chris Johns. Sedaris makes the mistake. Brisbane can't capitalise. Penalty goes to Manly. Brisbane ruled inside the 10. Now Manly taking the quick tap through the hands and the cutout. And Robbie Ross came out of the line and put Terry Hill away. Hopewadi. Ross around the legs, and he lost the ball. McBlain will put a scrum down.
Yeah, it's a good effort from Robbie Ross, cutting that first bit of play down and then getting out of dummy half here, just hanging on to Hopewadi while Walker finishes him off. And there's the lost ball, perhaps a Walker hand in it. He's appealing to the ref. He pulled it out. It's too late.
Might be something you could work on in the footy show, boys. What did they say? Or put a caption to this.
It's one of the few times there hasn't been a swear word thrown in.
Darren Smith, just outside the 20-metre line, July the 8th. You might mark that down. That is the start of Monday Night Football. And it is the top-of-the-table clash, or one of them, I should say. Sydney City Roosters versus Brisbane Broncos, the first of Monday Night Football for many years. July 8th, coming from the Sydney Football Stadium. And he's lost that ball in playing it.
Webkid is the man. Almost got away with it, but the referee hasn't missed too many tonight. Paul McBlain had a fairly solid match.
Lyons drifting across the ground. Dummy for Hill and then on for Innes. And Innes stands and finds Lyons trailing him through. Lyons put down 35 metres away from the Brisbane line. Manly by 14 points. Through Kosef. Hasler with the long pass. Now Brisbane have to slide. Hill is with it. He steps back in field, but he's pulled down in the defence of Ben Walker. Ridge. Tierney. One-hander back and away for Gillespie. And on for Hasler, who puts on a sprint and tries to pass round the corner. It came off the rump of one of the Broncos, and it's back with Galia.
That pass was never going to find its mark from Des Hasler. But the previous pass from Neil Tierney was again a good one, and he's been just about Manly's best out there tonight. He's really hit the line hard, and his great ability to offload has attracted a lot of defenders, created space for his teammates.
What Manly aren't doing tonight, they normally do, is set up play so well at the middle of the ruck and then stand in tackles for second phase. But at the moment, they're just trying to throw the ball from one side of the field to the other, and they can't really get around the Brisbane defence.
Played by Green. 15 is Shane Walker, and 7 is Plath, 17 is Galia. Checking them myself as we go. Ben Walker. Delicate little kick that is going over the dead ball line, so it's coming back for the 20-metre tap restart. 18 points to 4, Manly over Brisbane. Friday Night Football, and tonight again from ANZ. Last Friday night, of course, saw Brisbane on the end of a defeat at the hands of North Sydney, and seemingly they're going to put losses back to back against a similarly depleted Manly side. Not as badly affected, of course, though. Played by David Gillespie, and Sodaris' pass goes off and away and then back to him off Tierney. Carroll, even off a standing start, was able to make an inroad. Matthew Ridge. His kick turning Robbie Ross around. The bounce didn't help the former Newcastle player, but eventually comes up with it. And Brisbane running it out with Paul Hoff. Talking about sides being depleted, the Brisbane reserve graders, they pulled off a tremendous win tonight with a vastly depleted side, 22-0.
It was a great effort by the reserve grade side. Well, there's a
high shot.
Tackle.
Cliffy Lyons, called out by referee McBlain. Penalised. Young Walker taken high up around the neck area.
Well, there's his welcome to grade football, first grade football.
Rebke. Able to offload for Walters to improve, and then Walker Met and put away by Sedaris, about 27 metres out from the Manly line. Blacker using Shane Walker. Walters and Webke combining for the second time on this set of 6, and then Kerrod is pulled down, but the referee indicated I saw it and took no action.
Well, a couple of great offloads in a row there from Shane Webke. This time the short pass from Walters, getting through, standing in the tackle of 3 Manly players. Kerrod Walters thinking quick, but really no one out wide to chase that kick.
What's the story on Michael Hancock, Steve?
Yeah, Michael Hancock has a cork knee. It's not too serious, but he won't be back tonight. Just quickly, Rabs, if I can give a rap to Daniel Gartner. I know that he picked up our man of the match last week, but it's good to see the Manly club bring him along slowly. Now he's as good as any first grader out there. Now he's got his opportunity.
I don't think you're going to find any arguments in this broadcasting team, because we've been singing his praises for a long time. Of course, one of the reasons they have brought him along as slowly as they have is they've had that wealth of back rowers. I mean, ask Nick Kosef. He's had his time on the bench this year. Daniel has spent a lot of time there. Now, Chris Johns, former Australian centre three-quarter, 20-metre line. And then for Ben Walker to go wide and picking up Darren Smith, but the pass was behind rather than in front, and it took the sting out of the attack. Hoff, and then Plath, and Walker puts it on the right foot, came off the Manly player's feet. That's no knock on. And referee McBlain going to great lengths to indicate to the crowd that that's the way he ruled.
Again, coolness shown there by Daniel Gartner. Didn't panic. Allowed the ball to hit his leg and then just dived on the rebound. That's him taking the football forward, centre field, 28 out from his own line. Sedaris scoots out of dummy half and picks up another 6 or 7 metres. Matt Dunford, who's only just come back on the field, will partner Mark Carroll up in the front row.
He lines with that right thigh, very heavily taped, and of course got no doubts he's still feeling the effects of the rib injuries. They really gentled him into the match last Sunday. They waited for the heat to go out of the game before putting him into it. So Cliffy Lyons, I'm sure, is not at 100%, but you can't afford to be without him, even with only 95% of him.
Well, they've given him a bit of a break in defence. I've seen him out wide and the centres on the wing a couple of times, so he sent the outside backs in to do some more work, which is wise. Let the old fella have a bit of a break. But it's very hard to spot a weakness in Manly's defence. Brisbane throwing the ball out wide, straight from the kick a couple of tackles ago, and there were 4 defenders on 1.
Penalty has been given to Brisbane. Quite sure what he's talking about. Maybe it's the markers weren't standing directly in front, but it seemed to be an age before he gave the penalty for that. Three the penalties to Brisbane. Paul McBlain, of course, if you can believe the reports, was, along with Kelvin Jeffs, very close to getting his first Origin whistle. Brett Green, 40 metres away from the Manly line. The second half that has provided no increase to that scoreboard. Alan Cann. Walker. Lockyer. Then Johns and then Smith. Grabbing the collar of the jumper, pulling Darren Smith down. Peter Ryan running into a tackle from Neil Tierney. Ryan on the receiving end of that, but he's been dishing plenty out tonight. He's really left a mark on some of the opposition. Hopawati got a good bounce there. I thought for a moment it was going to put him in trouble. Now it looks like Brisbane might be in trouble because Hopawati made a long run. Terry Hill was coming up on the outside.
Gary, I just had a look at the lineup or the setup for Brisbane on that last tackle. Paul Hoff, although he's playing fullback, came across to the right wing. I can't believe that they haven't put the bomb up. If this defence is so difficult to get through, why not put the pressure on and have your tall man going through and trying to out-leap?
Well, it is one of Paul Hoff's specialties, getting up high. He has been in position a couple of times, but he's had poor kicks put across. Maybe he's lost a little bit of interest in getting out there, but it's certainly one area that Brisbane can break the Manly defensive line.
There's a chance for Brisbane. Plath on the halfway line. Retchless getting involved where he wasn't wanted. Shane Walker taking Haswell's tackle front on. Hoff coming up on the open side. Sidaris around the legs, then Plath. And a penalty has been given to Brisbane. Ball apparently got some help in the play of the ball from Manly. Lockyer finding the line about 20 metres out. Green. Now, if Brisbane can put 6 points on the board here, it will make for an interesting finish. Not beyond the realms of possibility. Snatching this one, although Manly appear to be doing it comfortably in defence. As Peter Sterling said, they've got to try something different to break them. Will they try it here? Walker rolls it, and it comes off the feet there of the Manly player.
There it is. See how high Paul Hoff got on that one?
Doesn't miss him. 6 to go for his side.
It's ruled that the Manly player struck at the ball. This is Johns, and now Retchless. But everywhere they go, they're outnumbered by the defence. 10 metres out from the line, they stack the blind side. Plath goes himself. Walker. Darren Smith, a dummy half. Darren goes himself. I think he might have dropped it.
Either that or Matthew Ridge has come up with the most incredible play of the year and kicked it out before the ball's hit the ground.
I think he may have. Darren Smith lunging for the line. Let's have a look at it on the head-on. Smith looked to be over here, stretching out, and Ridge has kicked it out of his hands.
How about that?
Well, is that, I don't know, Sterlo? Rabsdale, the man with the rule book, is that stealing the ball in any way, shape or form?
Well, he wasn't attempting a tackle.
Was he kicking in danger? I don't know.
What page is that on?
Well, if you...
It is an unbelievable play, Matthew Ridge. That is the only way he could have possibly saved that.
I can't believe that. I can't.
Well, if you read the rule, it talks about you can't rake the ball out or steal the ball whilst attempting a tackle. You can't tell me he was attempting a tackle. Here it is again. The questions are, is it indiscriminate kicking?
The only surprising thing was that it didn't go between the posts. They generally do.
I think it's great defence.
Well, what's that now? 3 from 4 for Matthew Ridge?
That's amazing.
So Manly back on the 40-metre line. Another one of the skills of Matthew Ridge. Gillespie. Dunford. Lions away for Innes, and Innes is put down. Crowd figure tonight, 19,837. When you get a stadium as big as this and you've got 20,000 in, they tend to get lost.
There's no doubt about it. Manly presented Brisbane with plenty of opportunities this half. They've turned a lot of ball over with errors when they're being tackled. Ben Walker now looking for some space with Lockyer.
Ryan did well, took the defence, got the ball away, and Lockyer is eventually put out of it by Gillespie. 32 metres out from the Manly line. This is Walker, dummied to his brother Shane. Now, Plath. And Retchless unable to control the football. What's he ordered here? He's obviously found a knock-on from both. 18-4 then, Manly over Brisbane after 68 minutes. And 18 points to 4. No addition to the half-time scoreline. So Brisbane have gone very close. Here's Ennis trying to fend away, and he does that. He goes down the left of the ground. Moore goes back in field. He's picked off from behind by Blacker and by Ryan. Fulton is back on for Manly. Kosef. Sadarish, Lyons, catch and pass, and Kosef. And then Kosef pushes it on, and Lyons had to dive on it to shut down what could have been a dangerous situation. Dunford one more time.
A lot of players could learn from the depth that Cliff Lyons plays with. John Plath was flying out of line, still couldn't get to Cliff Lyons. He gives himself so much time to play. And of course he sets his outside backs up so well with that time.
Good has come on now for Danny Moore. Quite a tussle going on in the Manly club for the top two wing positions. Elsegood, it seems like it was only last week he was playing outstandingly. There he is in jumper number 20, Rookie of the Year a couple of years back.
And don't forget Craig Hancock, another player who's been outstanding for them in the last couple of seasons. He was chosen in the reserve grade centre position earlier this evening. An amazing abundance of talent again in that spot.
Well, Anthony Rogers is another one we've seen in the last couple of years who can play some good football.
Ridge. And now Elsegood. Weaving run, which he now straightens it up. And eventually put away by John Plath. A lot of talk about Monday Night Football, and it has become a reality as from July the 8th, repeating with that big clash, Brisbane and Eastern Suburbs or Sydney City, July 8th. We'll be seeing that match live in most parts of Australia. Kosef on the halfway line. Gillespie looking around, then shoveling it back. Scott Fulton pushes it on, then Kosef, he tries to step, but the Brisbane defence equal to the task. I mean, as we talk about Manly's defence, this makeshift side of Brisbane, apart from the kick, it hasn't been punctured that often either.
Well, they made Manly look fairly pedestrian in the second half. They haven't done much at all to bust the line. I guess they're not too desperate with a 14-point break, but that had to be a penalty.
No, hang on.
No, it's a Brisbane player that's pulled him over the line.
Scott Black has decided to pull someone out of the tackle. That's resulted in his teammate going over the line. The number 5 grabs Elsegood.
Elsegood's finished with what he's doing.
So why Paul Hoff's being called out here? Can't see what he'd have done wrong.
We may have had something to say about it.
He's worked hard tonight, Kerrod Walters, hasn't he? I think he's enjoyed the added responsibility of captaincy.
I tell you what, he's one of those players that, if you like, come up at the wrong time.
We're getting a report up that
he threw the ball at the touchdown.
Yeah, the smartest move.
Used to be Constable Hoff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Of course, he went over to England last year and left the force. Temporarily, I expect.
Well, he's actually been placed on report for that incident. And now a penalty to Manly.
Dunford. Manly pressing, looking for their first points of the second half. Scott Fulton dragged back. 9 metres. Sedaris. Lyons. Kosef, a fend. Kerrod Walters pulls him down back where it started from. Fulton again. Hasler. Lyons. Dunford. Oh, beautiful pass by Lyons. Dunford running off his right hip. Lyons again. Whoops. And then Sedaris, then Innes, and now Elsgood. No try. Johnny to touch.
Scott Black is the man. No, it's Darren Lockyer getting across in cover. Elsgood with his arm on the corner flag just before he puts the ball down.
Yeah, I think his foot was also on the sideline, so a couple of counts against him. Good backline movement once again. I heard Steve Roach talking earlier tonight. Paul Hoff makes half a bust that he's not a great fan of teams throwing cut-out passes, and Manly don't throw a lot. They go through the hands, and that's why they are able to capitalise on the overlaps that they do establish. The blocker, we see a lot of first-grade sides really nullify that by allowing the opposition to slide when that long pass is thrown.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. What it does is allow, as you said, the defence to slide on it. If you go through the hands and make the extra man that comes in, then you've got every chance of getting the defence to come up into the man who's got the football.
This is Walker. Both of the Walker brothers out there at the moment. And that ball finding the line just inside the 20. Darren Lockyer, a player of whom they expect great things, I'm sure. He's been given a chance tonight to really show his talents. A sore head at the moment, apparently. Of course, there's a couple of more Walkers waiting in the wings. It'd be interesting with all the Walkers and a couple of the Walters in.
Hard one to call, one of the Walkers, the Walters and Webke.
From Walters to Walker, to Walters to Walker.
Wascally Wabbits.
Shut up. To the Wabbits. And now Lyons.
Can I say Rankarina?
Kosef. Poor old Juan Casey couldn't save. The old mate. Now Sedaris. Lyons. At the back of Hasler. Gartner taken by Lockyer. Ryan has to come in. He really, it's Galia I should say, but going back to Ryan, he really tonight has become the strong arm of the Brisbane defence.
So he's a real enforcer, Peter Ryan. And look, he's not a big player. He just goes to really, it's shown me that you don't need to be a
chance here for Brisbane. Ben Walker, can he get back to his feet? No. Scott Fulton dives on him, and there's a knock on there.
Well, Desi Hasler's come up with the try saver, but that was a comedy of errors. It was an awful pass from Fulton from dummy half. Another Manly player tried to come up with a smart play to compensate. There's another miss. And then eventually, young Walker's away. The ankle tap from Hasler. Fulton comes in to help, and then Hasler reappears once again
Yeah, well, Ben Walker going down. That's where he's lost the ball before he regathers. Scott Fulton diving over the top to clean him up.
Actually, it was a little push from Scott Fulton that propelled Des Hasler to make up that extra half metre to make the ankle tapping tackle. So Kosef and Sidaris now. Sydney City and St George tomorrow. Canterbury and Parramatta on Sunday. And then, of course, the big one on Monday. Dying seconds of this one, and Paul Hoff, away from his own 20-metre line, back to the 30. 12 points the margin. Manly 3 tries to 1. 2 tries for Danny Moore, both off the kick. 1 to John Hopewati. And the other try in the match going to Brisbane's Paul Hoff. So Manly confirm themselves very much in the number 2 position.
Another good run from Kerrod Walters. He's been close to their best, along with John Plath and Peter Ryan up front.
Knocked down and restarting the tackle count, and Brisbane throwing it around, but Walker under the defence, and there's the siren. It's all over. So Paul McBlain calls a halt. 18-4 Manly, keeping their winning sequence together. 9 on the trot, I think it is now. Brisbane with back-to-back losses.